It is a simple but surprising fact that 1 in 4 people will face some kind of mental health challenge in their lifetime. Mental health and mental illness are issues affecting thousands of people all over the world, and in particular young people. In fact, a recent study of almost 2,200 young people from Northern Ireland suggested that almost half of those involved had experienced some kind of mental health difficulty. Over the past 25 years, anxiety and depression diagnoses have soared by a massive 70% in teenagers. In this documentary, we will be finding out if we are truly doing enough for teenagers affected by mental health difficulties. To put the scale of the problem facing us into perspective, we have found an alarming statistic from the Mental Health Foundation and the Royal College of Psychiatrists. They have found that more people have died from suicide in Northern Ireland since the signing of the Good Friday Agreement than during the Troubles, with Northern Ireland also having the UK's highest suicide rate. So what exactly is mental health? We got out and about on the streets of Strabane and Derry to ask members of the public.
I suppose it's your mental well-being.
Yes.
And it's about, I suppose, putting a priority on not only your physical health but your mental health as well, and knowing that they're very much connected.
Mental health defines a lot of ways. I think mental health is a thing you can't really see.
I think mental health is not necessarily a negative thing, it's your mental well-being.
Yep.
And just like physical health, you have to look after it just as much.
Mental health, it's to do with like your state of mind, how you're feeling, all the thoughts you process, and in general along those lines to do with your well-being as well.
I have a bit of experience about mental health. I have a son who suffers from deep depression, so I do understand what's there in his case. I'm not saying I know everything about it, but I do know that he has at times a very low mood, and I have to lift him. Also, he's got treatment, professional treatment from the services that are here. He's actually been dealt well through those services, and mental health is a thing that just doesn't go away. You can't put a plaster on it, and so it's there maybe for the rest of his life.
It is clear that most, but not all, people have an understanding of what mental health is, that it is not just depression, but takes in a wide range of factors. The dictionary definition of mental health is a person's condition with regard to their psychological and emotional well-being. There are many factors contributing to the rise in mental health issues in young people. There are those that have existed for decades, such as socio-economic pressures, including generational poverty, unemployment and poor housing. However, young people now have to deal with the increasing pressure from social media and the constant expectation to maintain the perfect image. So what causes poor mental health? We spoke to practitioners on the ground working with young people in the Northwest to find out.
So social media is has a massive impact on young people's mental health. They're looking at things that they're looking at airbrushed characters, they're looking at things that aren't really real, and it does impact.
The mental health that we would see within our organisation would basically come from alcohol, the misuse of alcohol. If somebody is misusing it for a long time, they end up with mental health issues. Mental health issues can come from the misuse of drugs. So if people are using drugs for a long time, if they're mixing drugs, if they are doing poly drugs, mental health then can sustain from that.
In any society you'll have people who look different, who are fat and thin and have different hair colours and skin colours, but we're all equal, we're all good people. But unfortunately in our society certain body types and certain standards are prioritised, and then there's young people feel pressure that they have to look a certain way or behave a certain way, and that's very, very difficult.
Not surprisingly, there are many causes for poor mental health among young people. This is what makes it so difficult to prevent and treat. It seems that young people over the last decade have been faced with more and more of a perfect storm with the rise of social media, online bullying and the availability of drugs and alcohol, coupled with peer pressure to fit in. The big question is, are we doing enough to tackle this crisis? In recent evidence given to a parliamentary select committee, 4 school principals from Northern Ireland outlined the challenges facing children and young people.
Dangerous place. I'm concerned that we're not able to provide educationally for our students in the way that we believe is right. But I'm also concerned, as I mentioned earlier, that there is an epidemic of mental health problems in our schools which is nowhere near being addressed effectively.
The topic receives a lot of press attention, usually when a tragedy occurs or a new study is released. But is there any action being taken to actually address the issues that young people face?
I think the statistics speak for themselves, and I think clearly there isn't enough support for people with mental health issues in society right across Northern Ireland, and I think in particular here in Derry. A number of years ago now, I had highlighted and identified the fact that just over 5% of the health budget here in Northern Ireland was being spent on mental health services, despite the fact that somewhere in the region of 23 or 24% of cases being dealt with by the health service were mental health related.
So is enough being done? Well, we could always do more. We definitely could always do more. There's a lot currently happening in schools. Unfortunately, we're waiting for a strategy for schools. So a lot of schools are just doing things themselves to try and help young people with stress, help young people cope with stress, and to help identify young people early that might have problems and help them get help. But we could do more. We could give money to schools for that. At the minute, schools often don't have money to do that work, and they're taking money from other things. So we could provide schools with money and resources and training for teachers, for example, so that they wouldn't have to go off and do that themselves. But the good news is that the Department of Health and Education are looking at all of this, and they're trying to take steps to help schools manage mental health in young people. So there's work happening, it's not enough, and it can't come soon enough. Obviously, it'd be good if we could have it as soon as possible. Young people sometimes have to wait more, longer than is ideal. It's about providing all of those other services too, and helping GPs and schools work those referrals to work out where the best place for young people is.
It is clear that in relation to provision for the treatment of physical health problems, mental health is massively under-resourced. We spoke to local GP Tom Black about this issue.
There are 3 Cinderella services in the health service in the NHS. One is general practice, not enough funding, not enough staff. The other 2 are community services and mental health services. Mental health patients don't necessarily become the best advocates for their condition because of mental health problems, obviously, whereas if you have cancer, you're much more of an advocate for your problem. We do need more investment in mental health services. We need that to be at the level of GP practices, not somewhere in a distant clinic. And the reason for that being is it's very difficult to access services in a distant clinic.
From speaking to professionals and those who have experienced mental health services, the consensus is that we are reacting to mental health crises rather than preventing them from occurring in the first place. The question is, could more be done to prevent young people from developing mental health problems?
I think there needs to be more, there needs to be an increase in the budget in relation to mental health. I think there needs to be earlier intervention. I think we need to see children and young people's mental health move further on up the agenda and more resourcing done. And I think we need to reduce the stigma that's attached to it as well.
Well, we don't have enough mental health departments. I mean, I took my son to mental health departments, and I saw how packed they were, overcrowded, understaffed. What we need is more mental health departments, more people that can help. You can see a broken leg, you can't see mental health.
To effectively deal with mental health problems in young people, we need to approach it from 2 angles: prevention and treatment. Let's return to Siobhan O'Neill, Professor of Mental Health Sciences at Ulster University, for her take on how we can begin to better equip young people for the challenges they will face in later life.
So young people that are in crisis do get a lot of support through Lifeline, through Samaritans, and through child and adolescent mental health services, and they're actually very, very good. But we would like to see more services there to support young people and help young people deal with stress and cope with challenges before it gets to the point where they're in a crisis and their mental health has been affected. So we just want to go in a bit earlier there and start intervening early. In fact, I would be supportive of going into primary schools and teaching kids in primary schools how to manage stress, how to cope with stress. We kids are taught about their stress response and how they can cope with problems, and giving them techniques at an early stage to help them manage stress, to help them also work out how they're feeling and what they can do to address that feeling, so that they don't get trapped into the cycle of self-harm or using alcohol to manage stress, to manage these negative feelings when they come later in their adolescent years.
There are many ways that you can better manage your mental health. Simple things such as keeping active, eating well, keeping in touch with friends and family face to face, and doing something you enjoy.
Jiu-Jitsu is called the gentle art.
So you'd say Jiu-Jitsu is something that makes you more mentally strong than physically strong?
100%. It gives you confidence, it boosts your confidence, it boosts your general well-being, as in if you are in a bad situation, you can learn to calm things down, because if you have someone in Jiu-Jitsu who's technically better than you, or maybe physically bigger than you, you have to learn to relax and get comfortable in uncomfortable situations.
If you're feeling anxious or depressed, talk to someone. None of us are superhuman. We all sometimes get tired or overwhelmed by how we feel, or when things don't go to plan. If things are getting too much for you and you feel you can't cope, ask for help. Your family or friends may be able to offer practical help or a listening ear. When looking at the full mental health picture, it is very easy to become overwhelmed by the tragedies, statistics, and constant negative press attention. It is for this reason important to try and focus on the positives. For every person who has had a bad experience of mental health services, you will find another who has benefited and overcome the difficulties they faced. It is all too convenient to bury our heads in the sand and say that not enough is being done, instead of recognising the great work that is happening. Yes, we can still do more to help young people, but there are great services out there if you need help. Fantastic charities such as Aware and Samaritans, and services such as Lifeline that will listen if you're in crisis. If you're struggling with any aspect of your mental health, don't be afraid to talk to someone. It is okay not to be okay. Talk to a friend, relative, teacher, or someone you trust. Alternatively, you can call Lifeline on 0808 808 8000. We'll leave you now with a short story about the importance of friends, read by Adija Shah.
This guy's walking down the street when he falls in a hole. The walls are so steep and he can't get out. A doctor passes by and the guy shouts up, "Hey, you, can you help me out?" The doctor writes him a prescription, throws it down the hole, and moves on. Then a priest comes along and the guy shouts up, "Father, I'm down in the hole, can you help me out?" The priest writes out a prayer, throws it down the hole, and moves on. Then a friend walks by. "Hey, Joe, it's me, can you help me out?" And the friend jumps down the hole. And the man says, "Are you stupid? Now we've both got down here." And the friend says, "Yeah, but I've been down here before, and I know the way out."